Hello everyone! Today I have a very special video for you. I improved 5 of my favorite builds from the past year, and what better one to start with than the Scorpion. I've wanted to add pulsed weapons to the Scorpion for a while, and I finally found a configuration that I'm really happy with. I also removed the cannon from the tail because that was cause of frequent misfires in the past. Look at how it tears through the Silver Patrol. You have to be careful of the cannon right claw, so it's better to turn to the right when circling enemies so that the cannons don't accidentally hit the other claw. Gotta use up a Zonai charge. But we almost completed the whole thing in one battery. Let's look at these turrets now. So the right claw is a small angle cannon pulsar, and the left claw is a small angle beam pulsar. I'll show at the end how to build a conga turret really easily. These turrets are placed on the Scorpion at the right position that it will hover neutral at neutral. We can see that it doesn't gain or lose altitude at neutral, and we can just hover at about Link's walking speed forward and input left and right to turn. The turrets tend to turn the build as they look left and right, so these beams and cannons are arranged 1 to look like claws and 2 to minimize that bias left and right. To go up, you have to pull back a little bit on the control stick, and then to go in full reverse, you pull all the way back, and you can get going pretty fast. Then, to go down, you just push forwards. The skeleton is a base of a hover bike, plus 4 other fans. And so it has the stability and the maneuverability of the hover bike, which is really nice. Overall, it's very fun to use on enemies. You're able to break armor with the cannons after a few hits. It certainly helps to have 3 cannons. Remember to circle to the right around enemies. I've had 1 misfire where I was turning to the left and the cannons aimed and hit the left claw. But otherwise you can completely avoid them, which you can't the way that the Scorpion was before. I thought it would be fitting to talk about Scorpy the Golden next. Scorpy the Golden is very similar to the original Scorpy, which is not the most overpowered drone that you can have, but it is quite powerful, and it looks very cute, and it has a tail that stabs. That's awesome. I replaced the weapons on the tail with the most powerful auto-build weapons you can use, which are Gerudo weapons. So use a Gerudo Spear plus 10 with a Silver Lionel sword, and that is the best spear that you can get on an auto-build. The durability is infinite when it is auto-built, and the damage, the raw damage number is the only thing that translates. So things like the Zora water ability does not apply because it's not being wielded by Link. But the Gerudo times 2 damage multiplier still applies. Now we can combine 2 of them and just destroy a Silver Patrol. Many builds have trouble breaking the ice on small enemies like Moblins and Bokoblins. Scorpy doesn't have that problem though, because Scorpy has a homing cart that can do bump damage, a beam that sweeps up and down that can hit any spot on the enemy, and the spears that will do contact physical damage. Scorpy can 2-hit frozen silver Bokoblins with the spear. Now it's got its eyes set on this boss Bokoblin. Yep, there it goes. Maybe one more hit? Yeah, it did. They're saying, One of my most popular YouTube videos is the Ultimate Depths Tank. This is an adaptation of that with the Gloomdredger chassis. I've then added the U-block, which offers pretty good all-around blast protection, and is also easy to get into and out of. And then of course, we have this huge turret up on top. The whole point of this build is just maximum DPS on a single target. And that's what this turret on top is designed to do. It's a conga turret with 3 cannons on the front and 8 beams on the top. The cannons are arranged a little bit oddly, you might notice, but that is because they are back towards the central head, which reduces the amount of sway that it has as it turns left and right, because the middle head is the one that does the turning. Also, the beams up on top are centered over that middle head, and they're about as compact as they can be for 8 beams, while also offering the height advantage to make sure you hit the bodies of the Lionels or the Hinoxes or the boss bokoblins instead of their feet in the ground. Pulsed cannons tend to perform differently in mobs versus single enemies. You saw that it was pulsing really nicely with the Lionel, but here it's acting more like regular cannons. Well, that's honestly pretty good for mob fights because that conserves your battery some. Frequent cannon fire would also knock the enemies around everywhere, and it would be hard for your turret to target a single enemy. Let's look at how to assemble the turret for a minute. Start with the base conga turret with 1 cannon on the front and 1 beam on the top. And then you attach the cannon by the very front to the side of the front pulsing head, like this. Activate to check if it turns on. If it does, then you connect it to the foot of the front head, and instead you need to connect actually to the head of the front head. We want the cannon as far back as possible, but with enough clearance that the cannonball doesn't self-detonate. That is connected properly. Then attach the heads in a ring, and it's pretty easy to assemble. I'll show you how to build the base conga at the end of the video. Use a Sandseal statue shield as the perch, which you can get from Gerudo Town and then fuse it to a shield and pop it on top of the U-block. We can get some good DPS on enemies here, but watch the freedom the turret has as it spins around. Ah, so good. For a heavy turret that is mobile, it's important to have an even heavier base, which the Gloomdredger offers. As you can see, we can drive over large obstacles and still stay upright. The heavy base also allows the turret to perform to its best by keeping it stable. Next is Hank the Golden Tank! You knew I was going to include Hank on this list, and you were right. Hank is just so much fun to drive around. I mean, look how fast we're going. This is not really different from the previous version, except for the turret, which you notice that the beams are now spread out instead of all compressed together. There are 3 reasons for this. 1, it's very difficult to press them all together. It's much easier to just stack them in a semicircle like this. 2, it gives them a little bit more height for the tall enemies. And 3, the beams, when they're pressed together, may cause a bit of knockback in the turret by the beams hitting the other beam emitters. So spreading them out will prevent that knockback and allow the turret to perform better. You can see I'm trying the recall strategy as I fight because Hank as an EV can go fast enough to one-shot enemies when in recall. Otherwise, we'll just go slow and use the turret like normal. That rock really hurt. Yeah, Hank's just a great tank. Very, very mobile and very powerful. To build this turret, just like before with the Superdredger, you can attach the beams around in a semicircle from the base conga turret. To build the rest of Hank, again, check the description below. One of my favorite things to do with Hank is just stroll through the countryside. And Hank also has great handling, so it's easy to get around NPCs, around rocks, and through trees. And last, but certainly the best, is the Golden Lightning Larry Luciano. This method comes from Of Strings, where attach the loose fan to the rest of the build through a choo-choo jelly, use one that's not electric, and then attach a shock emitter to it. And what will happen is when you grab the control stick, the shock emitter will change the state of the choo-choo jelly, which will then disconnect it from your build because your build was supposed to be with a fire jelly, not an electric jelly. And that way we can auto-build Larry and just go up and grab the control stick and take off immediately without having to disconnect the front fan. It's so nice. I swear to you, it's so nice. Because you can also build it and then ultra hand it around in whatever direction you want to. Here I'm auto-building it. And then it kind of falls at a weird angle. Maybe I wanted to take off more horizontally, so I can put it over this way and auto-build the choo-choo jelly and the shock emitter, and both of those just disappear when you grab the control stick and you take off like normal. Yeah, it uses 6 extra zonite, but honestly, it's really great. And then of course, Larry itself was just an S+ build, so no other improvements were needed there. And trust me, I've tried. While Larry, in base form, doesn't do much damage to enemies, I'd argue that Larry is the most fun because you can just bowl over them. Got a little stuck there. Let's go up and swoop around for another pass through. Oh, look at these bowling pins! Can I get them all? Can I get them all? Oh, I missed one! Shoot. Alright, we'll circle back around and try again. Alright, here we go, here we go. Yeah, they're in a line. Yeah! We got them. To begin building a conga turret, take out a stake, head, control stick, and mirror. Attach the construct head by the snap point on the side, then attach a control stick on the snap point on the top of the head, and then attach the mirror sideways to the left side of the control stick. Push it down into the ground with the stake, then press ZL to strafe to the left, take out another head, turn it around, and attach it to the mirror. Press ZL, take out another head, turn it around, push it forward, and attach it. All of this done without touching the left control stick. Turn both heads around, grab the front one, press ZL, take out a beam, and then attach it to the rear head. If done right by pressing ZL, it should be centered like you see here. This one is not correct, it is to the left a little. Attach a stake by the snap point on either side of the front head, and another one, a third one, onto the beam on the snap point as well. Lower all 3 into the ground on top of 2 hover stones until the rear head is just touching. Activate another hover stone and place it just on top of the beam to keep it horizontal. This is a little finicky, do your best, and you can adjust it as you go. Attach 2 wooden poles to the snap points on the rear head on either side. Then take a hover stone and 2 homing carts to weigh it down. Once it stops moving, attach a third cart, but do not attach the third one right away. This will weigh it all the way down into a 12-degree position, but the aim head and beam will be horizontal. Attach a fruit to save the position, and rebuild. Test on some enemies. We see here that the pulse beam is a little low. So in order to fix it, we'll take it back and realign the pulse beam. To do that, attach a rail to the end of the pulse beam on top of a hoverstone, and then use the same hoverstone and homing cart configuration to weigh it down into level, like you see here. Test again, and we see that we're a little bit higher, and this is better. This is more parallel, so I'm going to move forward with this design. Next, grab the aim head while it's facing you, press ZL, take out another head, rotate it around, push it forward on the D-pad, don't use the left joystick. Just like this. Attach stakes to the snap points on the side of the aiming head. Attach a cannon, and then attach another stake to the snap point on the bottom of the cannon. When in the ground, grab all components attached by a stake. So grab the aiming head and grab the cannon. This will ensure that the stakes are straight up and down. Now grab a single wooden beam attached to the snap point on the front trigger head on either side. And then use the same hoverstone homing cart configuration to weigh down the planks. And add the third one when it stops moving. Once on the ground, attach a fruit and rebuild it, and there you have a completed conga turret. There's a couple little tricky parts, but overall it's a pretty easy building process, and it just takes a little bit of time. And once you've done it right, then you can save it to your favorites and you'll have it forever. It's my favorite turret, and as you can see I use it on many of my builds, so I highly encourage it. That's gonna do it for this Golden series video. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and enjoy one final clip here where I'm combining Larry and the Superdredger in fighting a King Gleeok. I think it's kind of a fun engage.